Hello and welcome to Cock Talk. It is Mark and Tyler here today. We're going to talk about being a dad. What's up,
Yeah.
Tyler?
Hey, how are you doing?
This
What are
is our
you?
first remote broadcast together. I think this is your first remote broadcast, right?
Yeah, got a new setup here, so we'll see how it goes. What are you drinking over there, Mark?
I have to admit, it is a little late for me to consume alcohol at this point. So right now I have this blender bottle brought to you by Blender Bottle. Please sponsor us, Blender Bottle.
What?
And there is this like fruits and veggie thing that I got from Costco inside of here. It tastes pretty good. Tastes like a raspberry.
I got a
What are you
backup.
drinking?
I got gin. You know what? It's aviation gin. Thank you, Ryan Reynolds. It's very good. I
Okay.
have been I'm not a big gin guy, and I got this bottle for free after my brother-in-law's wedding, and I actually really like it.
I love drinking gin and just getting that little bit of juniper in there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
gin is much more versatile. You can put gin with anything, whereas whiskey, I mean,
No,
you
that's true.
can put it with anything, but it's not gonna taste quite as good
Yeah.
as gin
Okay,
might with certain things.
so I have to ask you the question: why can't you drink alcohol this time of night?
Oh, it's not that I can't. I just prefer not to. You
Oh,
see,
okay.
if I drink right now, I don't like falling asleep having any alcohol in me. I don't know, just
Okay.
it ruins my sleep. I like my
Uh,
sleep.
yeah.
I'm regimented with it. So
Okay.
I figured I was like, I have to drink something because I know Tyler's gonna come drinking something. But yeah, it's me. And I'll bet that what time, so it's 11 PM right now as we record this.
Yeah.
What's your typical, like, I'm going to bed, like, actually shutting the lights off, going to sleep time?
It's usually I feel young saying this. It's usually like 1:30.
Okay.
I just can't shut it. Like I got so much going on that I need like time to decompress and shut down. And I can't do that with kids. I can't do that with my wife. I have to like separate myself and settle
What
down.
do you do to decompress?
I do work.
What's your
Like I make sure the schedule's all set for the next day
Oh,
for the
big
guys.
yeah, yeah,
and
big deal.
and do like
Sounds
minor
so
stuff.
decompressing.
But then I play some video games or like I'll
Gotcha.
browse YouTube shorts or watch our podcast on repeat.
Yeah, of course. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? So that's where all 16 of those views came from, just rolling through.
It's just me.
Yeah,
How about you? What are you
that's
doing?
Tyler doing it. Oh, for bed, my wife and I, Katie and I usually we watch a show. We're watching Suits right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen Suits. It's like a lawyer show.
Yeah, I know what
So
it
we're
is.
almost done. We're gonna watch the finale tonight. So she was like,
Okay.
"Of course you're gonna do a podcast tonight." We're supposed to watch the
Sorry,
last
Katie.
episode of the ninth season of this dang show now.
Yeah.
Which I will say, for a show with 9 seasons, I'd say 85% of it is fantastic,
Okay.
which is pretty rare for a 9-season show to say something like that. There's a
Sure.
little bit of a lull, but that happens in every show. But yeah, so we watch a show and then usually go to sleep, or if I'm still awake, I'll just do the same thing as you, like scroll on my phone or whatnot. But I know that's the best thing to do before you go to sleep is just look at a screen.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
awesome.
the worst. Like the worst thing.
The worst.
All right,
Hey,
so let's
it
keep talking
works.
about being a
It
dad. Tell me
yes.
about what you've been doing this week with the kids. What's some ups or downs that you've had?
Oh, I'm gonna tell you something funny that actually just happened tonight as we were,
Okay.
doing bedtime. So
Yeah.
I do this anytime Esme gets hurt. Sometimes I'll say, like, "All right, time to do surgery." Like, you hurt your foot, and I
Uh,
pretend to cut the foot off and do stuff to it and then sew it
yeah.
back on. So tonight, and it's usually only ever like a foot or a hand or a leg or something like that.
Mhm.
So tonight, right before bed, I don't know what she did, but she hit her head.
Okay.
And she's, "Oh, my head." And I was like, "All right, should we do surgery?" And she just laid down on her pillow, face into the pillow, and went, "Just cut off my head, Dad."
That's a riot.
I was like, "Oh, I only take limbs." And she's, "No, just take the head off. Just do it right here."
Yeah. Do you have a toy
Oh,
knife that you use for it? Or just use your
the
hand? Yeah, just your hands. Yeah.
yeah, yep.
That's cute. We actually did the same with Holly tonight. She was complaining. She had a little rash that developed on her arm, like pizza sauce of all things. She was helping make pizzas with Anna. and it popped. She got pizza sauce on her arm, and it just broke out in a rash. And
Oh,
she's like, "It hurts, it hurts." And I was like, "All right." And I was trying to get her to sit down at the table to eat dinner, and she kept like walking around and complaining. And I was like, "All right, you got two options. You can sit down at the table and eat your dinner, or I can take your arm off so you feel better." I was holding the pizza cutter out. She's like, "What?" And my father-in-law is sitting next to me, and my sister-in-law is sitting one seat over, and they're like, "Yep, those are pretty good options."
so
And
what so did she take it? Did she take the
she
no arm op?
no, she sat down, but she looked at us, 3 adults she trusts, like, "What?"
Is this really gonna happen? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So that was pretty funny.
But you have to be able to play with them, that's the and if you c it's not that you're, like, making light of them getting hurt, it's just you gotta let them know that when you have fun like, anytime you're having fun, it means everything's okay.
Mhm.
You can use that fun and that humor to really get through whatever it is that you gotta get through, which at this stage of the game is very little. Like, a rash on the hand, no big deal, a bump on the head, God, it
Yeah.
happens every day. Dude, I Katie and I are convinced she's gonna end up with some weird disformed head because she hits her head so many times during the day.
Yeah. It
So,
sounds like our
I
boats.
just I'm yes, I'm counting down the IQ points. I'm like, "Man, if we started at a 150, I think we're down to 110 now. We gotta
Yeah,
hold
boats
on."
would be at, like, a 30.
Oh, god.
The kid injures
Oh,
herself
dear.
once
Well,
an hour.
it's the worst. Your kid getting hurt like, eventually, you become desensitized to it a little bit,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Ugh, hit your head again." Whereas the first kid when they're first getting going, it's a lot more, "Oh, no, you hit your head. Oh, no." And eventually, you're like, "Just go. Who cares?"
Yeah, yeah,
Knowing it's
you're
bad.
fine.
Yep, yep. So, I obviously, we're talking about being a dad on today's show, and I wanted to first, before we get into maybe some of the, like, the things that you're really proud of being a dad and myself as well, and, like, maybe some things that we're working on as well. I wanted to talk about just any, like, method or, like, philosophical ideas you have behind parenthood, fatherhood, maybe any books you've read, or have you followed something on purpose, or is it just doing what comes natural, which I think is a method too.
Yeah, I think I'm more natural. I do like pick up stuff in conversations with my wife who follows all these different accounts. But my general take is I talk to them like an adult, like they're a big kid. I don't sugarcoat anything. I just tell them how it is. And I think that they end up turning out a little more responsible and easier to communicate with because there's no heightened emotions. It's not some soft gentle thing that they think they can walk all over you or anything like that. It's like, all right, this is what's going on. I'm going to do it, or I know there's a consequence, or whatever we're talking about. It's understood. It's serious or funny, depending on how it's presented. I guess.
Yeah, if I when you say sugar coated, I think of actually something that just happened the other day with my neighbor. We were over at their house just talking. I don't know about what, but they had two dogs. They left for Florida, and one of them died in Florida. And Esme asked her, was like, "Where's your other dog?" And she's, "Oh, she's not here anymore." And I was like, "Oh, Esme, their dog died." And
Yeah.
she was
Yeah. Uh-huh.
it
Yeah.
frazzled her that I
Mhm.
was so upfront and honest, but Esme knows what death is. She has killed a few chickens. We've talked about that on the show
Yeah.
before, that
Yeah.
she's killed some chickens on accident, but, like, she's killed
Sure.
some chickens, and
Sure.
she's also seen dead chickens, like, she's seen what it looks like when some animal gets a hold of a chicken, and she's seen what it does. Like, she's come running up with a chicken in her hand going, "Dad, this chicken doesn't have a head." And that just it is a cool benefit of having
Yeah.
animals, is that it is really it's sad when an animal dies, and, like, you always wanna respect the animal, and you don't ever want them to die unnecessarily, but it does teach about death. "Hey, that chicken's never coming back. We had a name for that chicken. That chicken is
Yeah.
gone now." And
Forever.
she understands it, at least from an animal perspective.
Uh-huh.
We haven't had to deal with a person dying that she knows, but she
Is that
understands it from an
something?
animal.
Does she bring up the dead chickens? Oh, remember?
Yes.
Henrietta? Okay,
Remember
yeah. Holly,
Diane? Diane's the
yeah.
one.
Is it Holly does that with the
Diane
Guyver.
is the one that
She tells everybody, "We
ah,
had 4 ducks,
was
but
that the
now we
one
have
that you ate?
3." Yeah, it is. We
'Cause you
had
ate
4
one?
ducks, and then we ate 1 for Christmas.
And see, at least that wasn't unnecessarily with it. It
Yeah, we planned it, and we prepped her beforehand, and I even asked her, like, "Do you wanna help me with it? Do you any process?" And I warned her, I was like, "It's bloody, it's gonna be gross," and initially, she was very excited, but when I started to go into maybe some of the details of what she might see, she's, "I don't wanna do it." And then, "Okay, that's fine, you don't
Mm,
have to."
yeah, yeah. That's yeah, it's but that's the sugarcoat. Like, you don't need to sugarcoat things for a kid. And
Right.
that's fine that she walks away, but it's the she knows, she understands that, well, animals die so that we can eat, and that's an awesome thing for a kid to know. And I know, not sugarcoating things can go into all sorts of directions, but that's just a little story I thought of with
Yeah,
Esme and the
do you have a
neighbor.
book or something that you live after or follow or
Yeah, I try to follow the Bible. That's really
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
my main parenting book. Um, there's a lot of really garbage dads in the Bible, so I try to I see those,
yeah,
and then at the same time, there are it's crazy. I for those of our listeners, whether or not you know anything about the Bible or not, most people have heard of David, like David and Goliath, and King David was not, the greatest dad all the time. He definitely protected his family, but bad things happened to his family a lot because of him. There's even the person who the Bible says is a man after God's own heart struggled as a dad, which
yeah.
I think just goes to show being a dad is and being a parent is a very difficult task. And you will never achieve perfection as a parent.
Yeah, I
Ever,
think
ever.
that's hitting it right on the head is we're gonna make mistakes every day, and it's about how you maybe confront those mistakes within yourself, with your spouse, and with your kids. That makes a world of a difference. I know I've had to come back and apologize to my girl and say, "Hey, Daddy's really sorry. Daddy should not have yelled at you, or Daddy shouldn't have said that, or something." And there's always that good exchange of it's a time to apologize, and then they forgive, and then the relationship is restored, and then we can keep living on, and everything is good. And that's our process of doing that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, because you have to model going and there is a certain element of lowering your pride to go and apologize
Yeah.
and ask for forgiveness and say that you were wrong, especially to somebody who is less than you. They're like on the totem pole of command. They are at the bottom. And
Yeah.
to go to them and say, I need you to forgive me. Well, I want you to forgive me. It's very humbling. And
I think it
it's also
ultimately sets a good example for what they should be looking for. They're young. My kids are 4 and 2, but I ultimately want to set the standard now, what they should be looking for in a man when they're older. If they
yep,
have a man that makes mistakes and never apologizes, that should be a big red flag.
100%. Yeah. My mom always told me, she said, if you can learn, and she told me this when I was really young. She said, if you
Mhm.
can learn to say sorry today, it will be much easier when you actually have something real to say sorry for.
Mm.
And I've always held on to that. I bet she has no idea. If I were to tell
So
my
to
mom, "Hey
remember
mom,
it.
I always remember this advice." And it's advice that I've shared with Katie, my wife, and I've shared it with Esme. Like, it's wisdom that I've passed on because it is very true. Like, I I don't I pride myself on being able to apologize because I've done a lot of stupid things. So I gotta get real good at apologizing for things. And it's real. Like, it can be very humbling to have to go and apologize, especially when you're like, "I don't want to admit that I'm wrong here, and I'm pissed because I am."
Yeah. Where do you see
So,
the most conflict in your relationship with your kids coming in at? Is there a time of day or a certain topic or a reoccurring? For me, it's the dinner table with Sophie. Getting that kid to sit down at the dinner table while we're eating is like an impossible task. She is up probably at least a half a dozen times per meal, like going and visiting Chloe. She's getting up and wanting to sit on mom's lap, and then she goes and tries to sit on my lap, and then she's stealing a bite of Holly's food, and it's just sit in your chair.
Isn't that funny that it like, and it's not unreasonable because it's like a social norm, but
Yeah,
how much it bothers us when our kids don't go with the social norm of, yes, dinner time, or Esme wants to she she sits next to me. A lot of times we sit on, like, our island, we have a peninsula, so Katie
yeah.
will sit on one end, and Fia stands in this standing thing on the edge, and then Esme and I sit next to each other, and Esme wants to lean on me, like, and I am physical touch all the way. I love hugging, I love, like, cuddling up, but while I'm eating my food, I don't wanna be touched.
Okay.
And she's, like, leaning up
Uh-huh.
against me, and it's dude, I can't even eat 'cause you're like, your hair's all there, and
She's got a
and
lot of
she's got
hair
a lot
too.
of hair. So, yes, I could echo the dinner time. I think for me, it's definitely bedtime is when I start to get, like, oh, you're at your the kinda at the end of your wick there, starts to boil in my stomach and my chest. "Dude, you gonna get to fucking bed. It's time."
Yep. I'm totally with it
So,
too.
that yeah, that's where I'm man, bedtime and I actually love bedtime. I think there's actually this study, and I can't remember exactly how they came to this determination, but it was something in terms of what people remember years later, that the
Uh,
most impactful minutes of someone's day are, like, the first 3 minutes of their day and the last 3 minutes of their day.
hmm,
And to me, that says, like, when somebody wakes up, it's how you initially begin your day is probably pretty darn important. And
yeah.
then the kicker for me was the last 3 minutes of the night, that's 100% me every single time.
Okay.
So,
You do the,
like, with
nighttime
Esme
routine.
yeah, with Esme, that's, like, me and her, and so I'm like, "The last 3 minutes, what do I do?" And so I consciously think about those last 3 minutes because, like, we have fun, I tell stories, and we have a great time, but those last 3 minutes, I'm like, "Alright, what am I gonna tell you? Because if this is what you're gonna remember for the rest of your life, I better make this good."
Yeah.
But I don't know where I can't remember what study it was or where I read that, but I it's conscious in my brain when I'm doing bedtimes. But at the same that's why I'm like, "Don't screw up bedtime."
Yeah, I would say that I struggle at bedtime too. It's like you say, your wick is right at its end and, um, that it's again, it's like the similar thing with can you please turn that back on? It's a similar thing with the dinner time where I have to ask the same thing over and over.
Yeah. Yeah, and those it's isn't it funny how those little social norms, they bother us so much when really there are times where it's legitimately you have every reason for it to bother you. There's other
Yeah,
times where I have to be like, "This is fine." They don't know social norms, and they don't care. And are they hurting anybody doing this? No, it's just it's annoying, but
yeah,
why you have to, like then you have to sit back, "Why is this annoying to me?
yeah,
Why do these things bother me?" And sometimes I go, "They bother me because she could get hurt." And I that bothers me when she gets hurt. So that's legitimate. But there are other times where I just have to go, "I think what you're doing is stupid, but you're not gonna hurt yourself. You're messing anything up. So go ahead, do what you're gonna do in this moment." And I guess my philosophy is I try to give freedom where I can, 'cause there's so many times during a day when you can go, "Oh my gosh, I hate it." When I'm at the store or something and you hear somebody going, oh, especially the park. "No, no, no, no.
yeah,
Hi." What the heck? Dude, just like, looking for a reason to say yes is so crucial because you can
mm,
tell your kid no all dang day, and eventually they're gonna resent you for it. It's a guarantee because I
yeah,
did.
yeah.
I did
That's when
not
you.
like being told what to do.
Uh,
I did not like being told what to do. So if I can give that freedom and not tell my kids what to do all the time, then I'm gonna be intentional about the times when I have to say no because 'cause it'll mean something.
okay, yeah, I can see
Not that
that.
I'm perfect
It's good.
at that.
Yeah, I think I put a high amount of pressure on myself to create this ideal citizen. Like I don't want my kid to be the one that's always getting in trouble or the one that's I don't know. I feel I take a really strong responsibility to teach them how to be like cohesive in society and be kind to others and be generous and all these things that I often maybe take it too far in that like bedtime. Hey, we need to obey because it's ultimately the theory is if you have somebody in power over you and they ask you to do something, you should be doing it and saying, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, yes, boss, whatever it is. Not that I expect my 4-year-old to call me sir or boss, but the intention is
Learn
that they
respect.
have, yeah, they learn this level of respect where they of a higher authority, and that there's not going to be some conflict that happens because they've been taught from as early as they can remember how to interact with an adult figure or a boss figure or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's important that they can talk to adults. That is a big thing.
Yeah.
I I know there's so many kids where they, like, clam up, and that's not a lot of kids do that, and that's okay because 'cause they're kids, but it's when they're, like, 10, 12, and you're like, you have no idea how to talk to someone that's not the same exact age as you.
Yeah.
Now that's a problem. I don't
Yeah.
know, I grew up being a like, I grew up feeling like my parents' friends were not my friends, but they were people that I knew and I could talk to. And I want the same for my kids. I want them to feel like my friends are people that they have relationships with as well.
Yeah. So, we both talked about sleep. Do you have a certain theory or system that you use at bedtime?
I do.
And
It is
let's hear
not
it.
a it is not I'll say it's not a theory. It is a method that works really well for my wife and I because we work from home.
Okay.
So, if
Is that
ever
your
are
disclaimer? It only
listening.
works with stay at home,
No, it
work from
could
home, I should say.
absolutely work for you. It could work for you too. But if you
Okay.
here's the thing, if both parents work, this won't work
Mhm.
because you're gonna nobody goes into work the times that my kids wake up. If you have to wake up at 6 or 7 and take your kid to daycare, this won't work. But we both work from home, and this kinda began way back when my oldest was little, and we said, we "We're working from home, so what do we do to be able to both work and take care of a kid and not have to send her to daycare?" So, what we did initially, we had a noon to midnight or sorry, midnight to noon sleep schedule. So, we put her to get to bed at midnight, and she didn't wake up until noon. She slept her 12 hours, and for us, for our workday, we get up at 8 and we work 8 to 12, and then it's lunchtime, and our kid wakes up, and at the time, she's a little baby, so she'd be awake for a couple hours, and one of us could hang out with her, and she could hang out nearby, and then she'd go back to sleep until 4 or 5, and then we were done our workday, and then we got the whole rest of the evening with her. So now it's adjusted to 11 to 11, maybe 10:30 to 10:30 or so, but we have largely kept that schedule, and my oldest is 3 and a half now,
How
and
is
he
Thea fitting
sleeps,
into that?
sometimes at 10, and Fia does the same thing.
Does
She
she?
goes to bed at, like, 10 between 10:30 and 11 and wakes up between 10:30 and 11 every day,
And then
and
just to remind people, how old are your kids?
the oldest is 3 and a half, youngest is 1,
Yeah.
and, yeah, it works really well for both of them. It lets us have our mornings to work. And then mainly, like, Katie has like, an actual 9 to 5 style job where she has to be available for meetings, and I don't. Once they're awake, then I'm their main caretaker, but she has little breaks throughout the day, so it allows her to, like, the kids are up when she's free, and she's free for lunch, and we all get to have lunch together, so it's pretty cool. It works really well, and even if you have one person who worked and another person who didn't, it's not the worst thing to have your kids be able to stay up late. I don't know, I love it because we can go to someone's house and we can be there till 10:30 and it's fine,
Yeah. No, that's a great benefit.
right? Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people have to go they have to leave if they're like, "We'll stay till 8, but it's really pushing it. Our kids are gonna be a nightmare when we get home," whereas we're like, "Yeah, we'll stay till 10:30, 11, and our kids will be fine." Like, it's pushing them past an hour past, where you think about it, like, we've hung out with people where the kids are still up at 11, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this would be like my kid being up at 3." So, I don't even know what it's like to have a kid that goes to bed past their bedtime because I never need them to. I'm
Yeah,
always
I
ready for them to go to bed.
That's probably the bulk of the American kids are going to bed slightly early. Maybe that's a little presumptuous, but in my household, our kids go down 7:30 to 8:30, sometimes at 9, just depends, but
I think, like,
man, if
little
we
kids, that's pretty typical.
dude, they would just they start crying and screaming, and it's, "You guys are done. We're not doing this. You're going to bed. We're not trying to push till 11." The only time it really works is when we're at, like, your house or with Joel or wherever, where they've got other kids to play with, and they tend to do very well once they're there, and then as soon as they hit the car, they're gone. There's no, fighting or arguing. It's nice, honestly, when we are out late because they're so distracted, they're not settled down enough to start losing their minds, and so they just crash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I also really valuable the nighttime because if the kids go down at 9 at the latest, that means that I have a couple hours with just me and the wife. And because she
Sure.
goes down, she probably falls asleep like 10:30 to 11. So that's our only time where we get one on one because the kids are just everywhere. There's no, even during
No,
nap
oh,
time,
yeah,
like
no, yeah, when the kids are
my oldest doesn't nap anymore. So there's not even like a mid afternoon break from that. I don't think I could ever see myself switching. Like, where do you find you and Katie time? Or do you guys just both stay up really late?
that's usually from, like, 11 to 1. Yeah, we stay up
Okay.
late.
Okay.
Like,
So that's the
we're
difference
both
maybe in
kinda
just
night owl
bedtimes.
people.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
it's basically everything's just shifted because yeah, and that's, like, sometimes if they go to bed at 10:30, then we go to bed, or we watch a show, we do whatever, and then between 12:30 and 1, usually she's fallen asleep. Still 2 hours together, which, like, yeah, if you put your kid to bed at 7 or 8, and you go to bed at 9 or 10, it's the same thing, it's just all
Yeah.
shifted,
Just, yep.
which I always just look at it like these there are people who are they're stay-at-home parents, and their kids get up at 6. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that sounds terrible."
I couldn't
Like,
do that.
I wanna sleep and the other thing is that on a weekend, if I wanna sleep in, like, if we're out late Friday or we're having fun, we have a party at
Yeah.
our house or something, we can sleep till 10 AM and there's still no kids awake. Like, I know there's people that are watching this that are like, "You
Yeah, no, seriously, fuck you.
you
That's
husbands."
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't, my
So,
Sophie
I mean,
is
that's
like me, she doesn't need any sleep at all. She's up some mornings at 6 trying to crawl into our bed. "I wanna snuggle you." No, go back to your bedroom. So we have one of those little
no.
hatchets, it's like a sound machine with the light combo, and you can control it through an app. Wonderful. And so we have
Yeah.
it turn colors at 7:30, it turns yellow, and when it turns yellow, that's when the kids know that they can come out and start their day. Because otherwise, they have no idea what time it is, they have no reference. So, it kinda,
Which fair. Yeah.
yeah, it at least makes them aware of this is when the day starts thing.
For
And our way to get them back in the bed has always been like, "What color is it?" If it's not yellow, go back. Yeah, we love our hatch. Do you have anything like sound machines or
yeah,
lights that you use?
we use a hatch too.
Okay. Do you
Yeah,
have that set up in there?
we'll put a link in the description. You can
Oh, yeah.
click our affiliate link down there for,
Affiliate.
yeah, we don't have it set up as the colors because I don't care, because I'm already awake long before they are.
Yeah, true.
Um, only time there have been a couple, I'll say, like, just phases where Esme would get up at 9, and I was like, "Bro, this is too early. You go back to bed." And she'd be
That's
like,
such a
"But the
funny
sun's out."
sentence.
I know. She's like, "But the sun's out." I'm like, "Yeah, but you've only slept for 11 hours. You need to go back to bed for an hour." Like, but she that eventually it's, "You're up. Just go to your room and relax a little bit and like a snack or something." For the most part, that'll happen for a couple weeks, and then she'll sleep straight 12 hours again. And then sometimes it's 10 and a half, but 12 hours is pretty much her MO her whole life, always 12 hours. So,
Mm.
I am not complaining at all. Let's talk about some wins that you've had as a dad. Uh, I guess a better, maybe an easier way to say it is like, what's something that you're really proud of that has happened because of you being a dad, or that you've intentionally done that you go, I'm super proud of this moment or this thing that my kid does?
Yeah, I couldn't, yeah, in good conscience claim anything. Like,
Does it all?
my wife is a stay-at-home mom. Yeah, she's the boss of the taking care of everything at the house. I'm away or in the office, locked away for most of the day, and then I come home and take over, but she's in control of 80% of their day. So, I don't know if I can honestly claim anything, but one thing that I really love that our kids do is they have, gosh, this makes me sound really old and kinda corny, but I love how they have good manners. Like, they're always very thankful. They say please. They're just very conscious of how their words affect other people. So they say sorry, they apologize, they hug, they wanna make sure that everything's okay, and I think that's really rewarding because if you've met my 4-year-old, which Mark, obviously you have, there's not a day that you're around her that you don't feel loved. That kid is just always hugging and kissing and telling people how much he loves them. And gosh, that is just watching that is like, she's so captivating. I told her that the other day. I was like, do you know how captivating you are? Like, you got to be careful because you could do some damage with this. And she shouldn't know, but it's still fun
Yeah,
to talk to her about that kind of a thing because she is. She's so kind and generous that it makes me just so happy whenever she interacts with everybody. How about
yeah,
yourself?
that's I'll tell a story, and the story will help to tell why I'm proud of my oldest. So, we have chickens, and
Yeah.
generally, the rule is so we have a fence, it's like an electric fence, you gotta turn the fence off and you can pull the gate in to get in with the chickens, and then there's also an egg box on the outside of the coop that you can access. There's 2 little locks, and you pull them off, and then the top falls back, and you can get in and grab all the eggs. I don't remember. We were out there with Fia as well, my youngest, and I had to carry her and something else, and Esme has this little Jeep, and she takes off and drives that thing all the way back there.
Yeah.
First thing I'm proud of is that she can drive that thing like a freaking 16-year-old. She's an unbelievable driver already, and she, like, wants to drive my actual truck, and
Yeah.
I let
Yeah.
her, and she drove up the freaking driveway, like, not the pedals, turning the wheel. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's
Yeah. She's got to really crank it.
yes, she's a fantastic driver. Like, my 10-year-old niece, she got into Esme's little Jeep with her, and she was trying to drive, and she was hitting things, and she was like, "I'll just let Esme drive." It was so funny. So
Let
she's
the
just getting
3-year-old
carted
drive.
around by a 3-year-old, and she is just,
Oh, that's all right.
like, narrowly misses at all sorts of things. She's just a ballsy little driver. It's so funny.
Yeah.
So she drives her Jeep to the back. She knows she's not supposed to open these things without me, but sometimes she gets excited. So
Yeah.
she opened up the egg hutch thing that's there. So she opens it up, and I see a couple extra chickens. Like, we've got every now and then a chicken or two will get out. We have one chicken that never goes into the coop, and it just roams everywhere, and I cannot catch it. I, like, need to get a net gun or something that I can just shoot a gun at it. The rocks
Yeah.
go, so it's but I see 5 or 6 chickens. I was like, "Oh, dang, Esme's back there. She's let the chickens out or something." So I'm, like, trying to hustle back there. I'm carrying a kid. I'm carrying, like, a bowl of scrap food, running back there, and I see her. First off, she's trying to collect the eggs, but she also recognizes that the birds have discovered that it's open, and so the
Mhm.
birds are trying to get out and escape as well.
Uh-huh.
So she's trying to get the eggs while stopping the birds from getting out, but 4 spots that they can lay in, so she's
Yeah.
going between each 4, holding one, pushing with the other one, and has eggs in her hand, and I just see, like, her run to the left side, and then shoo, shoo, 2 birds jump out, and she runs over to that side and shoo, shoo, a couple more birds fly out, and she's just looking like, "Dad, the chickens got out."
That's
I
so
was like, at first I'm like, "No, dang it." Then
yeah.
I realized this is freaking hilarious,
Yeah, I think
and
that's right.
You are, like, legitimately trying to for going and getting these eggs by yourself, and so I was like, "No, you did a good job. It's okay. The
Mhm.
chickens got out. That's fine. We can get them back in." And we did. She
Sure.
helped me get them back in. She, like, hustles them in, and she holds the gate and swoops the netting around them so that they have to get pushed in. So, she
Good.
made good on the accident that she did, but I was super proud that she just takes control. I'm like, she's, "Oh, I'll go back there and do it." Like, she can do everything by herself. I can do it,
Sure.
and goes and does these monumental tasks, like, things that you wouldn't be like, "Oh, my three-year-old goes back, does all the things, to feed them." Like, she does things that, again, my 10-year-old niece couldn't do.
Mm.
It's just it's cool to see how she takes responsibility and, like, really grabs life by the horns, and she does not want anybody else to grab those horns with her. She wants to just drive the bull. So,
Yeah, that's
I can
very fun. I think that's very much like a firstborn child thing where they just have this natural tendency to just like dial in. Like my firstborn too, Holly, she dials in like, got it. And you can tell her, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna do that. And she's like, "Yeah, okay." And then I'm like, all right, go do it. She's so excited to go. All right, I gotta go put the dry food in with the ducks, and then I gotta go collect the eggs and throw in the food scraps. And then she comes in, she's like, Daddy, I got 2 eggs. She's so excited. Good
That's great.
job.
Oh, hey, by the way, how did your egg hatching go? Did
Should
that
I
happen?
show them? Should I show them?
Yeah,
I'll,
100%.
I'll be right back.
Okay, alright, Tyler is gone. He's going to he so
Oh, I'm still
Tyler's
here
been
though.
oh, okay. So you can hear and we can hear them.
Can you
This
hear
is
them?
fantastic. I can yeah, definitely can
All
hear
right,
them.
I'm coming back. This is a fun reveal. So we had 5 eggs that were viable. We lost one because it accidentally got dropped, and one of them didn't work out. So we have 3 total khaki Campbells in our little
Look at
batch
those
that we
little guys.
incubated.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
these
Great
little
job.
guys are so cute. They're so fluffy. They're super small. They're as big as my hands, right?
Yeah. And how old
And
are
they
those ones
just
right now?
they are a week old today. Yeah.
Okay.
One of them 6 days. One hatched the next day because it got incubated a day later. And my daughter named them. We've got Fluffy, Rolly, and Beluga. I don't know what that is, but it's
Beluga?
yeah.
Beluga whale and a vulva all
Yeah,
combined.
hopefully we'll get a couple extra egg layers. These will lay the 2 hens that we have now have laid every single day for probably 2 months now.
Oh, that is a lot for a duck. That
Yeah,
is amount of
if we get 2 more girls, which we're hoping for, I haven't sexed them. Maybe we can get 4 eggs a day, and I'm gonna go put these guys back.
yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, that's really cool. There you go. There's, your live homesteading here on Cock Talk, the podcast. Uh, yeah, cool. I've always wanted to do that. I've thought about doing it with chicken eggs because for sure we have 2 roosters, so I know that I could probably do it. Maybe can I borrow your incubator?
No, you can't because I'm an idiot and I put it in the dishwasher. It just totally warped.
No! No!
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. I mean, they're
Okay.
cheap. If you really wanna do it, they're
Yeah.
like I think the one I got was $40 and it does
Yeah.
12 eggs, and it really worked really well.
Okay. You literally just went and collected the eggs and dropped them in there.
Yeah, I collected about 10 of them and then put them all in the incubator at once so that they would all hatch at the same time. And then I guess only one of my hens was fertilized. So we only got half. And then we had the one that it looked like it developed maybe only 2 of the 4 weeks. And then the one got dropped at that's about that same time by my oldest,
So
which I have a
so if
video of.
you yeah, I know. I saw the video. If you have the egg, so you said you put them all in at the same time, so that'd be like
Yeah.
5 days worth of eggs. What did you do with
Yeah.
the eggs while you waited to put them into the incubator?
Oh, they're just sitting on the counter. Yeah, we have a little egg
Really?
holder. Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so you don't have to keep them extra warm or anything.
Oh, no, you wouldn't wanna do that. That would start the process.
Right,
Yeah.
process.
You don't
Interesting.
like you could probably keep them outside and they would be fine. But the kids love going and picking the eggs, so we grab the eggs every day. So they just sit on the counter. They won't progress on the counter, even though they're fertilized. So it's only
Huh,
once they get the humidity and the high temperature do they start like actually developing. And you'll get a
okay.
heartbeat within 5, 6 days. It's exciting. You can see all the vein structure like building on
Alright,
the
I'm
wall of
doing
the
it.
egg. It's fun.
I'm doing
It's
it.
really fun.
I
I
have
think
to do
Esme
it.
would love it.
I get 25 eggs a day, and I get a lot of actually, you say your ducks are laying a lot. Mine are laying every day too.
Yeah, how's that
But
peking going?
the eggs are, like, this big. They're freaking huge.
Yeah.
I
I
I'll
was
post a picture on our Instagram so you
Yeah.
can, go
I
look
think you should
at it, but
post that picture that you had the chicken, the regular duck, and then the Peking duck, because the
okay,
Peking was at least
yes.
twice as big.
And Katie's that's probably a double yolk, and it wasn't. It was
No,
just a monster
just a
egg.
big
Um,
duck.
that one lays every 3rd day,
Yeah, that's
but the other
Peking.
ones
It's a
are
meat
laying every
bird.
day.
It's a meat
Yeah.
bird. It's not an egg layer. The khaki Campbells are egg layers, so they're supposed to be laying eggs. I've even noticed mine have gotten slightly larger than they were probably when they started laying. So that's cool too. They're getting a little bit
Yeah,
bigger.
yep. They're growing up. Let's close the show with something that we are doing to become better
Yeah.
fathers. What do you have for me? What are you doing to become a better dad?
Gosh. Where to begin, honestly. Like I think I'm very critical of myself and I wanna be the best at everything, and that's impossible. I realize that, but there's always areas of improvement. And I think the biggest one for me is the whole patience with the kids, where I tend to I have a whole crazy day with work. I got employees that aren't communicating, showing up late, not showing up at all, customers that we had signed projects found somebody else, and you have all this built up stress. And then you go back to family life and you want some level of order because your whole day was out of order. And so you try to establish order and you can't do it because they're four, they're two. What I'm an idiot, honestly, for thinking that I would come home and have order. Like, and so I'm working on my own heart to realize like coming home and having disorder is a level of bliss and that it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be beautiful. It doesn't have to be right. We're all learning. We're all trying to get better. And there's a joy that can be found. It can be funny, like you said, where the chickens got out and your initial reaction is one of, what are you doing? But then actually that's hilarious because they're popping out of all these holes and she's trying to keep it all at bay. And taking that step back for me, I'm really trying to work on and realizing in the moment, like how much you can really experience without having to feel so uptight.
Patience for days with my kids. Like, I could have patience with a lot of people. I always honestly prided myself on I'm pretty patient. Like, I always felt like I was patient with my wife, and then I had kids, and then I wasn't patient with my kids or my wife.
Mm.
It all fell apart.
No far.
It all fell apart. Yeah, and so I agree with you. Like, learning patience with your kids, I feel is just a lifelong thing. Like you're always trying to grow that wick of your candle to be able to be a
Mhm.
little more patient and a little more patient. Yes, that's huge. For me, I have been I notice you get into those seasons where you're like, I really just want to take a peek at this and look here. And I'm going to just, and you're with your kids a little bit and you're like, oh, I'll just check this really quick. And they're like, Dad, come on. Stop looking at your phone. And she's at the age now where she notices when I'm on my phone. Whereas when they're like 1.5, you can be like, yeah, okay, yep, we're playing.
Yeah.
And you can play with the toys and you can do whatever and put it back and take it back out. It's not a big deal, but she notices. And I've been trying really intentional to not just put my phone away when I'm with her, but to also kick that laziness of I've been playing with you so much, like I don't want to play anymore, and be like, no, I'm going to be freaking relentless. And I like that's my in my head, I'm like, I will be relentless. I'm going to beat you at playing. And yeah, maybe internally it's a little bit of a competition, but it helps me to be a
Yeah.
better dad because I know if I can outplay you as
Yeah.
a 38-year-old dad to my 3-year-old, then
Uh-huh.
I'm doing something right.
Yeah,
So
and then
relentless.
your kid's gonna be super competitive. Be like, "How did they get that way?"
I don't know.
"Oh, I don't know."
My my kid is gonna be competitive no matter what.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. Have you met my wife? She's very competitive, and
Yeah,
I'm so
we both have very similar relationships in that both of us are competitive, both of us are athletes, both pairs of us are the exact same in
yes.
that manner. Both
Yep.
very physical, tough individuals, pairs, couples. So,
Yep. 100%. I love it. Anything you wanna add before we get out of here? And
uh,
I'm gonna go to
uh,
bed and
yeah, I
watch my
think that's
episode of Suits.
so yeah, go snuggle the wife, have your alone time. I don't want to take any more time from her.
Oh, no, that's okay. I know at this point, no matter when I go back to bed, I'm gonna get a little bit like a, "Oh, what took you so long?"
Uh-huh. You
And I'll
said it'd
say,
be
"It's
45
technology,
and it's been
baby."
over 50.
Dude, that is a thing. Be like, "You said 45 minutes." I'm like, it was our episode's 52 minutes long, like, it's not that bad." And they're like, "You said 45, you should have said 55."
Oh man.
I know, I'm working on that. See, there's a lot of things there are I think there's actually way more things that I have to work on as a husband than I need to work on as a dad. I actually
Yeah.
think that being a dad's pretty easy. Being a husband, especially while being a dad, is very difficult. It might
Yeah.
be the hardest thing about being a dad is also being a really good husband on top of it.
Let's do an episode about being a husband. I think that'd be a great topic.
Alright.
We'll get
Alright.
that one
I
in the
I think that
calendar.
would be yeah, we'll get Joel in here for that one too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He'll put us all to shame as he renews his vows in, like, the hills of Scotland right now, something like that,
Right? You
amidst
know who I would like to
poppies.
have? Is Derek back on for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's get Derek on, for
Let's have
sure.
Derek on as a
Alright, that
guest
sounds
host for that.
I love it. This has been I believe this is the ninth episode of Cock Talk, the podcast, so we're almost to double digits, Tyler. We almost made
Yeah.
it. Did you know that 80% of podcasts don't go past the 3rd episode? We're already
Woo!
there.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, baby. So, thank you so much to our listeners and our viewers for being here. You can, if you're watching us on YouTube and you want to listen to the show in the car or something, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those good things. Subscribe to the show wherever you are watching, and you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Cock Talk, the podcast. Have a great rest of your day, and thanks for being here.